Hey, Mr. Hall here with an epic story. This is a major story. You got here because we've been discovering archaeological evidence about some rivals of Troy. The Minoans kind of wiped out by earthquakes and that big volcano, and the Mycenaeans came in there and dominated. The Mycenaeans, the Spartans, the Corinthians, Delphi is still up there too. All these Greeks are doing pretty well right now. Let's say it's 1200 BC. And don't forget about agon, the way the Greeks really understood about struggles, day to day struggles, big struggles, little struggles, overcoming struggle, finding good after the agony of whatever the fight, the contest you're in. And isn't this kind of why, a big part of why the Greeks give such an enduring impact to the world? And archaeologists are finding really interesting things that help us understand the ancient Greeks. So I visited the site of the Trojan War at Troy. And you visited the site with me on video at Mycenae, which would be just like what the Greeks. So let's get into this story. The domination of the Greeks, the domination at the time of the Trojan War. And with everything going so well, with them overcoming these struggles so well, why did things fizzle out into a dark age after? Why didn't the winners of the Trojan War dominate even more? What do you do when these puzzling questions are unable to be answered? What do you do? What do you do when you want to understand life and the world? You tell a story. Once upon a time, up in the hills of Mycenae, looking down across all the olive trees and probably packing up some of that olive oil to go trade during the Bronze Age. So we're in 1200 BC in the Bronze Age, and the Greeks are dominating trade. And especially up here in this area where Troy is and getting all the way to the Black Sea, this is all part of the same cultural region with the Greeks. So it's not just the Mycenaeans who have a citadel, and there's many other places where the Mycenaeans have settled, like Athens, Thebes. So the Mycenaeans are just the first best mainland Greek city-state. But wait, here's Troy way over here. They look like they're at a really great place. And if we were to have a quick lesson about chokeology right now, does this choke point create opportunity, danger? It brings all the trade ships right past Troy. This is kind of a neat slide here because this is like modern day shipping pathways. And again, all of these shipping lanes go through Troy in this choke point. So is this like a trade war getting started with all of these Greek settlements, all these Greek colonies, Greek settlement areas? See, it says Greek colony. So much Greek influence all over this area. Is Troy part of the Greek cultural influence? Are they kind of their own group of people? Do they have a rivalry with Greece? Are they concerned that Greece is becoming too big? When 1,000 ships sail to sail to Troy and start the Trojan War, were they threatened with a super powerful Greek people? Would you like to know a lot more about this? And what does it have to do with Helen of Troy? This entire video is over an hour and 40 minutes long. And it is linked in the agenda through this slideshow. So if you'd like to really get an expert's point of view.
My journey in search of Helen begins at the Bodleian Library in Oxford.
I thought I was talking about
Most
trade.
women are written out of history. Helen is written in.
Why is she talking about Helen?
She was an inspiration for the earliest masterpieces of European literature, Homer's Iliad and Odyssey.
Homer.
These are some of the largest fragments of Homer from antiquity. They're close on 2,000 years old, and they've been beautifully written on papyrus sheets in Greek capitals. Originally, these papyrus sheets would all have been joined together in one long roll, about 30 foot long. It's book 2 of the Iliad. You can still make out the names of some of the great personalities from the epic. Here we have Achilles, the godlike.
Achilles, Helen. This epic. So this is the Iliad written by Homer. And he doesn't talk about trade routes and choke points and Greek colonies. He talks about love. He talks about Helen. And he starts the story with a wedding. Once upon a time, there was a wedding plan, an epic wedding. It was Peleus and Thetis. This is offspring of Zeus. So it's got to be a big day because Zeus is going to be there. Wow, look, there's a picture of the wedding. And there's the Olympian gods, and there's Zeus, and there's everybody. Everybody that's anybody is being invited to this fancy wedding. No, wait a minute. Oh, wait, we're missing somebody. There's one person not there. It's this girl, Eris, because she's not fun. She's the goddess of discord, the goddess of people not getting along. And when she wasn't invited to the wedding and everybody else was, what does she do? She makes a golden apple. What are you going to do with the golden apple? She's going to throw the golden apple on the party favor table. And you could watch this entire video as another way to get the story even quicker. You'll have to actually open up the slideshow to get at some of these videos. I don't play for you completely. But I'm telling you this story, and you're allowed to skip ahead to parts that you didn't already hear in class. Back to the golden apple. It's on the party favor table, and on the golden apple it says, "For the most beautiful." Eris, being the goddess of discord, do you think that she is giving this party favor to be nice? Is she giving the party favor to be kind? Or is she going to try to make a fight? A fight between the beautiful women there. Hera's a beautiful wife, a beautiful lady, Zeus's wife. But Zeus also has some people like Athena, his daughter, who's a very important goddess. And of course, Aphrodite, a very important goddess. That's three women who all might say they should get the golden apple. It's on the party favor table and it says it's for the most beautiful. So what is Zeus going to do? He doesn't know that Eris did this in a way to create discord, but he does want to avoid the situation altogether. Because when the girls start fighting over the apple, they say to Zeus, "Would you declare who the most beautiful is?" And Zeus is not stupid. So he finds a young prince, the prince of Troy, the handsome noble named Paris. So as they're partying at the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, Eris sneaks in there with the golden apple, which immediately causes these three ladies to fight. Zeus doesn't want to get involved, and he sends them to Paris. He's like, "Paris, you're the up-and-coming, not the city. You're the up-and-coming prince of Troy. Troy is doing so well with trade." So he calls Paris over here and he says, "Why don't you talk to these three ladies?" So he goes to Hera, and Hera says, "I'll give you wealth and power." Paris thinks about that. It's like, "Yeah, but I'm the prince of Troy. I kind of got that already." What about Athena? Victory and glory and wisdom in battle. And Paris said, "I don't know, but my man Hector's really good at fighting. He's going to win." Aphrodite says, "I will give you the most beautiful woman." And naturally, when Paris considers what he really needed, because he was not married, and why not go ahead and get the most beautiful woman as his wife, which is exactly the one that he chose. So now he's made some ladies mad. There's a lot of famous art about this scene where Paris is trying to choose between the three. With Aphrodite winning, he's going to leave two others pretty angry. Okay, so Aphrodite has got to send, not Cupid, that's the Roman name. What's the name of Aphrodite's handy buddy? That would be Eros. And he's going to zap the beautiful Helen. How does Paris know about Helen? Because one day Paris is in Sparta and he's doing trade negotiations with Sparta and the other Greeks. And when he meets Helen, the wife of Menelaus, the king of Sparta, he says, wow. Oh, he's not saying this out loud. He's like, wow, that's the most beautiful woman ever. And I think that's who I want to marry, even though she's already married to the king of Sparta, Menelaus. So he calls Aphrodite and says, send down Eros. Pull back your bow and let your arrow go straight to my lover's heart, Helen. So Helen sails off to Troy with Paris, and they live happily ever after, right? Not right. Is it possible that this entire thing is going to bring about war?
Sacred horse. It shall be a monument to Trojan valor.
Beware the Greeks bearing gifts.
Beware the Greeks bearing gifts.
That's surges to life again. For here, in Olympian scope and vastness, is the sweeping saga of the mortal struggle between the legions of imperial Greece and the forces of impregnable Troy, that began with the immortal romance of Paris, the Trojan, who stole the love of Helen, runaway wife.
Come away.
They're in love. Why would we ever mess around with this? Well, we could need a little backstory here, because all those Greeks showing up to Troy, to get their queen back, could be because when Helen was a young, beautiful daughter, actually offspring of Zeus, believe it or not, but she was raised by King Tyndareus. And because she was so beautiful, before any suitors, before any men were able to even be considered as a future husband, they had to agree to unite. And so when Menelaus was able to be the husband of Helen, all the other Greeks had to agree that if anything ever happened to Helen, they would unite and be ready to defend their honor. And so Helen's face is a face that will launch 1,000 ships. That's another old saying. The face that launched 1,000 ships. Helen is so beautiful. Video games have been made about this. So here we are. Mr. Hull in 2015 took a few 7th graders and parents to Troy to see exactly how epic, how great is the land, the sea, the fortress, the hill where all this was built on. And as an archaeologist, you would have uncovered this wall that held its ground for 10 years, siege warfare for 10 years. The Greeks show up to Troy and can't get inside the walls for 10 years. The way they designed the walls, this would have been 3 times bigger back in the day, but it's kind of got a choke point even to get into the front door because you have to turn a corner. So it makes it difficult for a battering ram. Here is a video.
So do we see any sign around?
Of our tour guide,
Selchuk, is one. Right.
Who is showing us ancient Troy. So yet another opportunity for you to watch the entire video and feel like you are an ancient archaeologist, just like these Grizel and Jerome kids.
That Troya 6 is the city that they actually have mentioned. on the sign as the
13-minute video. I really,
place.
really enjoyed visiting Troy because of how epic it is and because the land is, it just makes so much sense they would fight over this. So what are we doing for 10 years in the Trojan War? Well, one fight is Ajax versus Hector. Hector
He
versus
hurled his
Ajax.
spear's long shadow flew and it struck Ajax's shield, that awesome 7-layered buckler, right on the 8th, the outside layer of bronze that topped it off. Through 6 hides it tore, but the 7th stopped the relentless brazen point. But great Ajax, next dear to the gods, he hurled and his spear's shadow flew, and the shaft hit Hector's round shield. Hit full center, straight through the gleaming hide, the heavy weapon drove, ripping.
This sounds like some very exciting action that was all written into the Iliad by Homer.
Struck the gigantic shield, 7 ox hides thick, struck right on the jutting boss, and the bronze clanging, echoing round and round as Ajax, hoisting a far bigger boulder, swung and rolled it, putting his weight behind it. Tremendous force, and the rock crashed home. Hector's shield burst in, hit by a millstone, and Hector's fine knees buckled. Flat on his back he went, his shield crashing down on him, swept him off his feet. But Apollo quickly pulled him up, and now they'd have closed with swords hacked each other if heralds of Zeus and men had not come rushing in.
Heralds of Zeus. So what in the world is Apollo doing getting involved in this? The gods are getting involved in this war behind the scenes. There's so much going on. So Ajax, sadly, gets killed by Hector. And then Patroclus puts on Achilles. Patroclus is like the best buddy of Achilles, and Patroclus puts on Achilles' armor and goes out there to try to avenge the death of Ajax by trying to go after Hector, which then Hector quite easily.
With Achilles back in the fight, the Greeks found the courage they had lost. And like lions freed from a cage, they sprung forth, their claws sharpened for the kill. But not everything was exactly as it seemed. You see, sometime before Achilles was seen leading his men back to battle, King Agamemnon and Odysseus hurried to Achilles' tent.
Join the battle. How can you idle here while brave men die?
What are you doing?
The men will follow this armor into the jaws of death. If you will not put it on and help save us from the brink of defeat, I will wear it and lead them myself.
Agamemnon is a snake. He comes to beg and never cares to admit his guilt.
So it's pride that keeps you, Achilles. I will lead our men to victory, keeping your pride intact and Agamemnon's in ruins. I will go in your stead, and only your sword will stop me.
You will push the Trojans back to the river, but you will not go across it. Do you understand what I'm telling you, Patroclus? Patroclus, you will not cross the river.
They're running! We will not let them live to fight another day!
Patroclus is the best buddy of Achilles. Achilles is the best fighter. Achilles is not a team player.
To the southeast.
Achilles is way better than everybody else.
The Trojans are trying to outflank us in the river.
You know that he was dipped in the river Styx. He's really invulnerable. But here we go with a real serious battle with Patroclus versus
Trojan!
The gods get involved once again. And they shouldn't be messing around with the affairs of humans, but that's what the Olympian gods do as they help Hector kill Patroclus.
This is not Achilles.
He thought it was Achilles because
why is this man
Patroclus
wearing Achilles'
was wearing Achilles' armor?
A sleeping beast was about to be wakened. his roar to be heard across the land, his fury to provoke carnage and ruin never seen before.
Oh boy. Achilles is going to be so upset when he finds this out. Patroclus was maybe confused about Achilles' armor. Achilles' armor is not really the reason why Achilles is so good. It's because he's dipped in the river Styx as a baby, and that made him impenetrable. So that's going to raise the level to the maximum for the showdown between Achilles and Hector. Once again, there's plenty of video game footage. This control bar is super annoying.
Hector, why haven't you gone with Priam?
We'll watch Lego. The showdown between Achilles, who is super fired up mad at Hector. Hector on the Trojan side, Achilles being the Greek hero, the greatest Greek hero because he just can't even lose. The funeral of Patroclus. Achilles is super upset. And the proper way to bury people back then was to cremate, to have the funeral pyre, to have a coin in the mouth to pay the toll to cross over to the river Styx. So Achilles is doing this, looking at his armor, thinking, why did my buddy Patroclus put this on? Did he think the armor would protect him against a master hero like Hector? Achilles can't lose. Achilles attacks Hector, but that's not all he does. He ties his body to the back of a chariot, and Achilles drags Hector's body around the chariot, around the city of Troy, in the ultimate display of disrespect, arrogance, taunting the gods while he's doing it. He is not giving Hector the proper burial that he deserves. And he is making people so unbelievably mad at him, dragging the body of Hector around. So, is that going to spell trouble for the future of Achilles?
In Greek mythology, Achilles was a semi-divine hero. He was son of Peleus and nymph Thetis. When Achilles was a baby, it was foretold that he would die young. To prevent his death, his mother, Thetis, took him to the river Styx, which was supposed to offer powers of invulnerability. She dipped his body into the water, but as she held Achilles by his heel was not washed over by the water of the magical river. The whole body of Achilles, except for his heel, became invulnerable. He grew up to be a man of war who survived many great battles. But in Trojan War, a poisonous arrow shot at him was lodged in his heel. Unfortunate Achilles died shortly after. As Achilles was invulnerable except for his heel, this idiom, Achilles' heel, indicates a weakness in spite of overall strength, which can actually or potentially lead to downfall.
Yeah, so what is your Achilles heel? Is it a package of Oreos? Like if you come across a package of Oreos, will you like eat the whole thing and that's not healthy? Is that your Achilles heel, or do you have something bigger, filled with pride and arrogance, where you think you can never lose? I don't think we're going to watch this death of Achilles. In the movie Troy, this is not really a quality scene. Orlando Bloom plays Paris, and he gets this bow and arrow out and shoots right at Achilles' heel. Now, Paris is not supposed to really know this. Apollo knows it, and Apollo is helping the bow and arrow work right for Paris. And then they just make this long extended dying scene because Brad Pitt playing, So Achilles dies because of his vulnerability, because of his spot. This story time is going on unbelievably long, and it's been 10 years. And how can we possibly end this? Does anyone have any ideas now that all the heroes keep killing each other and they're supposed to be epic fighters, and even the amazing Achilles has a weak spot, and 10 years of siege goes on? Oh, who said Trojan horse? Who said Trojan horse, that we should build a big wooden horse, hide inside of the horse, run it up the ramp that is at the city walls on the other side of where you saw before? When I visited there, I'm like, why is there a ramp here? And it's like probably the ramp that they used to wheel in the Trojan horse. Interesting. It doesn't really seem like that would be a good idea, but they're going to do it. And in the movie Troy, they're going to sneak up and say this is a gift to honor the gods, like a big trophy. Would you ever dishonor the gods by not accepting the trophy? No, you would never do that.
An offering to Poseidon. The Greeks are praying for a safe return home. This is a gift. We should take it to the temple of Poseidon.
I think we should burn it. Burn it, my prince. It's a gift to the gods. Father, burn it.
Does he burn it? Nope. They wheel it inside the city. They have a huge victory party. A huge victory party before finally popping out. After everyone's had too much party and up too late, all the Trojans are partying. What's inside the horse? A bunch of Greeks. Odysseus, Ajax the Lesser. Dozens of men are inside the Trojan horse, and they're about to pop out and surprise the Trojans with total annihilation.
What good diet is? Are you ready to get the future menace?
Sure thing, Mr. Agamemnon.
That's cute. Odysseus, what news do you bring? Someone left this for us. A present. Nice. It looks just like our horse. Should I bring it inside? That'd be rude not to. No! I did not see that coming.
Greetings, men of Athens, Sparta, and Thebes. Peabody here.
Kill him!
No! He's my dad. It's an adoptive relationship.
So do you ever expect something to pop out of the Trojan horse? No, you're not going to expect that. The Greeks win the war because Odysseus pops out of the Trojan horse, slashes everything in Troy, burns the city down. And then in language arts class, you guys learn about the Odyssey, the long journey home, which is basically like saying after the war is over, even though the Greeks win, the Greeks dominate, they go into a dark age. The Bronze Age collapses, and we're going to skip ahead several hundred years. And the Odyssey is going to blow these Greeks all over the place to all these different experiences, and it's so confusing. And it's like a myth that helps us understand why such a dark age happened, even though the Greeks win the war. The Trojans lose the war, but wait, there's more. Not everybody in Troy got killed. Diomedes, you heard him hiding inside the Trojan horse. Diomedes of Argos had a chance to shoot this guy. This guy is Aeneas. What's he doing? He is trying to escape the burning city of Troy. Aeneas is carrying his father, Anchises. Anchises had once had an affair with Aphrodite. And that's the mother of Aeneas. Aeneas is just some young prince from Troy. He's escaping because Diomedes refused to take the shot because he said, this guy's noble and courageous. I see this guy is doing something selfless. He's overcoming a struggle on behalf of someone else. He's thinking about someone else. So instead of killing him, Diomedes lets him go. So Aeneas sails off to Carthage, and there's a whole story that goes on there when he's in Carthage for a year with Queen Dido. We'll cover all this because guess what? If he ends up in central Italy, he will start the Latin people being the forerunners to the Roman people. And they will develop into a major civilization that will eventually take over the Greeks. And that's all part of the Roman story of the Aeneid, Aeneas. So just remember all that when we get to the Romans. So after the Dark Age is over, then we're going to get cranked up with things like the Olympics, democracy, baby rattle, shower, chewing gum, beating the Persians, and Alexander the Great takes over the world. That's all coming soon. But this is the end of the epic story. And even though you think this video is super long, the real version is way longer. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Have a great day, everybody.